Good evening. Welcome to the QCIS channel. We get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and during this last week of 2022, I'm just going to call this Infrastructure Week, where I'm going to deal with topics. I just dealt with construction management. So this one, I'm going to deal with construction site inspections. I know this topic very well because I am a construction inspector. It's very important that you understand construction inspection because without construction inspection, how can you report what's going on to the project manager? You see, what we have on a construction project is we have the administration side and we have the field operations side. So, and particularly, let me use a road project, for example. On a road project, you have a project engineer or a project supervisor or a project manager. They're the liaison between the contractor and, of course, the owner. And the contractor's one, they're doing the work. Now, on the administrative side, like a DOT project, the construction manager on that project, he has a team of inspectors. The inspectors are the one that actually document the daily activities. Now, can the inspectors make recommendations? Yes, but they cannot utilize means and methods. In other words, they can't tell the contractor how to build anything. Their job is to enforce the specifications. So to be a construction inspector, you have to understand plans reading. You also have to understand how to calculate quantities because you're going to be doing some measurement of quantities. And you have to understand testing procedures. And if you really want more on how an inspector works, you can go back and see the field portion of an inspector. I've actually conducted tests in the field and even some paperwork. So today is what are the duties of a construction inspector? What are the duties of a construction inspector? Now, again, when we deal with construction inspection, let's put it to you like this. The construction inspector is what I call the eyes and ears for the construction project manager. Why? Because construction site inspections are critical to ensuring that quality and safety procedures are followed correctly from the start. Now, construction projects involve coordinating multiple project team members, materials, and equipment. Now, this is very important. Construction projects involve coordinating multiple project team members, materials, and equipment, which may expose contractors to many potential risks and hazards. So, in order to successfully run a construction site through the entire life cycle of a project, again, in order to successfully run a construction site through the entire life cycle of the project, routine construction site inspections are necessary. Also, the construction supervisor, construction manager, or the construction engineer, they can also perform construction inspections. So, what does a construction site inspection entail? So, we have progress inspections. See, a construction site inspection checklist is essential in a planning phase of a construction project as it ascertains compliance with project requirements. Once the project has broken ground, progress inspections become part of the job site's daily routine to guarantee these requirements are met. Now, depending on the project size, project inspections are conducted by one or more individuals across several trades. If a specific aspect of the project requires additional input, specialist inspectors may be brought in to perform inspections on things like the environmental policy, waste management plan, and accessibility. So we also have quality inspections. Now, quality inspections ensure that the finished construction work meets the quality standards set in place. Quality inspections also make sure that the project complies with all specifications and quality requirements listed in the contract documents. Quality inspections include regular site walkthroughs, and they typically result in a monthly quality report that identifies issues and monitors process and progress. Now, okay, let me stop right there. And I'm taking it from an article. Generally, when you're out in the field, you have what we call a daily report. The daily report talks about what activities have been completed by the contractor, where they've been completed, how much material did they put down. Now, it is the job of an inspector, particularly if the contract is what we call a unit cost contract. And basically, now you have the two contracts that are very familiar to construction are lump sum and unit cost. Now, your road projects utilize unit cost. That means all of your activities are broken down into items. The items are known as quantities, like lump sum. Pounds, that's what your rebar is. Tons, if you're laying down asphalt. Cubic yards, if you're excavating or placing concrete. Linear feet, if you're measuring curve. Square yards. And of course, if you're utilizing hardware, which that's in each item, or they're placing signs. And then the monthly quality report, well, you can actually, when we talk about monitoring progress, it's when you have your progress meetings. And generally, your progress meetings are for the management of the contractors and, of course, the project's manager. So I know the article, it had mentioned a monthly report or monthly quarterly report. No, we do daily reports. And in that daily report, we include the weather. We include what time the contractor worked, what time did we work, where did the operation take place? Again, how much tonnage or how many cubic yards were laid? Also, did an accident occur? Was there any testing involved? That's what we put in our daily report. Our daily report is supposed to be specific so even a fifth grader can understand it. Now, when it comes to project inspections, what about building regulation compliance inspections? So by carrying out building regulation inspections, buildings ensure that performed work is going to be approved by the local authority's building control department or by an approved inspector. Depending on the details of the project, these building regulation inspectors vary in number and frequency. So these inspections must often occur during commencement, excavation, and that's before excavations are filled, foundations before they are covered up, laying of damp-proof courses, installation of new drains before covering up, construction of the primary structure, installation of insulation, roof construction, and completion. Now, when does a construction site inspection occur? Get into pre-construction. While most construction site inspections are conducted during the construction phase, they can begin in pre-construction. Pre-construction inspections survey the property condition in neighboring areas before construction begins. Pre-construction site inspection checklists may consist of checks on planning permissions, conditions, and obligations to ensure compliance with local authorities. H3, during the project, as the term suggests, construction site inspections most often occur on a construction site. The project scope, budget, and schedule are the primary measures of quality during a construction project. And there's project closeout. So the final inspection and construction closeout process consists of site walkthroughs, verifying everything has been completed in accordance with the contract documents. Once confirmed, the building is ready for its intended use or occupancy. This means the punch list has been completed and the submittals, lien waivers, warranties, closeout documentation, manuals, and as-bills have been turned over to the owner and verified for completeness. Now, we also have, again, checklists. Construction site inspection. Now, let me see if I can get you an example of a checklist. Well, a checklist would be like this, about inspection, add a photo, close an inspection, create an observation, delete an inspection. That's the software. But when we actually sit down and talk about a checklist for construction inspection, well, what are we going to put in that checklist for the inspection? Because there should be a checklist, and the checklist should go according to the specifications that are used for the particular project. You have standards and you have specifications. Now, the standards are for every project within that commune or the state, but the specifications are project specific. Like if they're putting asphalt on a job, you're not going to go and read concrete specifications because they're not doing concrete. You're doing asphalt. So when it comes to construction site inspection, well, inspections of work progress accordance with plan and specification. Inspections of work quality and compliance standards and specifications. Inspections of paints and coatings. Field testing of materials. Sampling. And generally, when you sample materials, particularly if it's any project, you're going to utilize fielding, testing, and material sampling of soils, asphalt, concrete. It could be rebar. It could be fireproofing material. It could be paint. It could be the cracks or anything that deals with drainage, like your pipes. You could be dealing with overseeing a test for water pressure when they install a water line. You could also be a head inspector and actually be the one who is looking at elevations. Yes, inspectors can survey as well. Check the elevations. Check the depth of something. When it comes to safety, make sure that the contractor is using a trench box for a proper trench. Also, review and completion of change orders. Inspections of materials delivered and used. And what they mean by that, let's say if they bring in a precast concrete box for a manhole, want to make sure there's a stencil on it. You don't want cracks in it. And you can probably have like a 3/8 of a small crack in it. There's different tools that you use. You can use a chain with a broomstick for making sure concrete isn't hollow. If you're checking for bolts on asphalt, correction on guardrail, take a hammer, see if there's any ringing. That's different types of inspections. Retroreflectivity, again, retroreflectivity and lux. Lux is you're dealing with the brightness of the paint. Those are examples. Those are materials that are delivered, and used. You also perform semifinal and final inspections upon building completion, preparation of punch list and monitoring of completion works, and then handover inspection for smooth closeout. Now, is there construction site inspection software? Yes. ECMS is what PennDOT uses. A lot of the states use what they call Site Manager. It's sponsored by AASHTO. And construction site inspection software, again, construction site inspection software can help improve your construction site inspection processes. Digital construction site safety inspection forms facilitate documentation, tracking, and collaboration. With a construction site inspection app, your teams can build out, manage, and maintain company-wide inspection library. Standardization also allows you to baseline your current processes, identify problems, and of course, improve your overall quality and safety program. Generally, your daily reports are going to be stored, and your project manager will review your daily reports. And on your daily reports, if you did any quantities, you need to make sure you have an accurate quantity, because that quantity is going to be used to pay the contract. And again, you as an inspector, you're out there collecting tickets. You're the one totaling up the tickets to get the quantity. You're also documenting on where the material was placed. You're looking at the material to make sure that it arrives on site properly stenciled, like a structure for a box culvert, a structure for a manhole. Now I'm talking about road projects, but you're going to do the same thing when it comes to building projects. When you're doing a building project, you're going to run a DCP to make sure that you have strong soil so you can lay a footing. And to make sure that when a contractor is using an auger to drill caissons, that there's no water down there in that place, because when you do a caisson, they could go 10, 20, 30, or 40 feet down, and then they got to put a rebar cage in there, but you have to make sure that there's no water in it, because water, once it gets on concrete, when concrete is placed, it weakens the concrete. You also have to take quality control tests like slump, air. When you're out there doing asphalt, the contractor is going to take cores. They're going to be tested. You're going to have to do gradation for aggregate. Aggregate could be number 8 stone. It could be number 53 stone. Has to pass through sieves. You're also going to use an LWD. Indiana uses an LWD. Some use a nuclear density gauge. But you have to understand the different tests when you're out there doing inspections. Again, if you want to check out the different tests that I use, check out my field videos on a Frankfurt project on State Route 28 here in Indiana. Again, when it comes to construction, you have to have good inspection. Inspectors must be detailed. So risk is every part of every construction project. Construction site inspectors help mitigate some of the risks by providing a process that allows teams to deal with human error and unforeseen changes that occur throughout the project. So having a refined checklist for construction site inspections will help you drive successful completion of the project and provide visibility into areas for improvement. That way, teams can stay ahead of safety issues. So to review it, when we deal with construction inspection, construction site inspections are very critical to ensuring that quality and safety procedures are followed correctly from the start. Because construction projects involve coordinating multiple project team members, materials, and equipment, which may expose contractors to many potential risks and hazards. So in order to successfully run a construction site through the entire life cycle of the project. Routine construction site inspections are necessary. Now, I have dealt with construction inspections. You also have to understand that the documentation is very, very important too. So you need to be as detailed as possible. If you're not detailed as possible, a person who has never been on a job isn't going to understand your work. And remember, when you're utilizing documentation, proper documentation, that documentation can also lead into litigation if something happens during the project as well. That's why when you become a construction inspector, you must understand plans, specifications. You must have a little bit of a math background. You must pay attention to detail, and you must understand safety, because you're the eyes and ears for the project supervisor. And your job is not to give the contractor means and methods. The contractor's job is to build the project. Your job is to enforce the specifications. And once you understand enforcing the specifications, you can make recommendations. But again, cannot tell the contractor how to build a project, because if you do, contractor can come back if something goes wrong and blame you. So the job as an inspector is to enforce the specifications. And that concludes this topic on construction site inspections. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some social, political, some psychological content, check out my main channel, the 411 Talk Zone radio show on YouTube as well. Now, if you cannot find the 411 Talk Zone radio show or the QCIS channel on YouTube, you can check both of those channels out on Twitter. Now, because the QCIS channel is an educational and professional channel, I take that channel one step further. You can also find the QCIS channel on LinkedIn. And in the end, thank you for listening and viewing the QCIS channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. You all have a wonderful and gracious evening, and thank you for listening.